James K. S. Sebenius, Kissinger the Negotiator, Lessons from Dealmaking at the Highest Level. Embark on a journey to uncover the secrets of the world's most influential diplomatic negotiator, Henry Kissinger, and learn how to apply his strategies in your own negotiations. In the book summary of Kissinger the Negotiator, Lessons from Dealmaking at the Highest Level by James K. Sebenius, you will delve into the mind of this renowned figure and explore his unique approach to critical, high-stakes negotiations throughout his career. Gain insights into Kissinger's strategic thinking, realistic attitude, and the emphasis on understanding core issues, as well as essential principles and practices that hold true for diplomats and negotiators across various fields. Unravel the significance of assumptions, embracing a wide perspective, and fostering deep knowledge in the realm of negotiation.
The Effective Negotiator. Henry Kissinger's consistent approach to complex, high-stakes negotiations contributed to his international reputation and influence as the most effective U.S. Secretary of State in the past 50 years. His sophisticated principles and practices remain useful for diplomats and negotiators in various fields. While his conception of effective negotiation derives largely from the diplomacy of earlier decades, his approach is still relevant today. This book seeks to assess the value and limits of Kissinger's approach as a source of guidance for today's negotiators and diplomats alike. Successful negotiation strategies. Effective negotiation involves aiming for a mutually beneficial agreement on contentious issues. Emotional intelligence, debate, and nonverbal communication play crucial roles in achieving desirable outcomes. Henry Kissinger expands on the idea by reshaping the negotiation setup to improve the value of an agreement, increase impasse costs, or both. The approach also considers what happens away from the table, such as forming or dissolving alliances or preventing certain parties from participating in negotiations. Successful negotiation lies in a holistic view of both in-person discussions and external factors beyond them. Kissinger's indirect method. Kissinger's unique approach to negotiating with Rhodesia's white government led to successful negotiations for black majority rule. Instead of insisting on immediate direct talks, he adopted an indirect strategy, engaging European nations and managing the American response. Kissinger focused on everything that had to fall in place to set the stage for successful negotiations, ensuring foreign forces wouldn't enter the conflict and that black leadership would respect white minority rights. His method was a success and played an integral role in ending apartheid in South Africa. Kissinger's approach to negotiations. Kissinger's impactful negotiating style consisted of adopting a historical perspective, zooming in on his counterparts, and aligning broad strategic concerns with personal relationships. In his negotiations with South African Prime Minister B.J. Vorster regarding Rhodesia, Kissinger combined empathy and assertiveness. He understood South Africa's need to respond to international condemnation and to avoid the consequences of supporting white minority rule in Rhodesia. He believed that a harsh and immediate approach would shatter the negotiating process. Instead, Kissinger subtly pointed out that majority rule in Rhodesia was inevitable. He offered Vorster an opportunity to address his domestic situation peacefully and encouraged him to pressure Rhodesia to support majority rule while retaining white population rights. Kissinger's approach was stringent yet compassionate, combining persuasive verbal exchange with actions away from the table to orchestrate incentives and penalties that proved crucial in inducing a yes. His negotiating strategy highlights the importance of combining various negotiation techniques for a successful outcome. Kissinger's strategic approach. Kissinger's negotiation strategy involves having clear long-term goals, considering historical context, creating a precise plan to achieve goals, being flexible, and maintaining reputation. He favors a realistic approach that is shaped by the interests of all parties involved. In his approach to negotiation, Kissinger emphasizes having clear, well-defined long-term aims. He advises against viewing negotiations in isolation and instead encourages considering their larger political and historical context. Additionally, he suggests creating a precise, step-by-step plan to achieve stated goals both in person and through other actions that provide leverage and influence. While remaining firm on long-term aims, he also advocates for being flexible in adapting to shifting circumstances, such as actions by other parties or new information. Lastly, he emphasizes the importance of reputation and how it can affect current and future negotiations. Kissinger distinguishes his realistic approach to negotiation from the theological and psychiatric approaches. Theological negotiators believe they can impose their conditions top-down, while psychiatric negotiators believe negotiations are valuable in all circumstances. Kissinger believes realistic approaches are neither blunt nor conciliatory, but instead are shaped by the interests of all parties involved. In the context of the Cold War, Kissinger believed that theological approaches assumed economic and military dominance in advance. However, with Nixon's support, Kissinger pursued negotiations towards opening diplomatic relations with China and forging an arms agreement with the USSR, despite some Americans seeing the Soviets as impossible negotiating partners until they gave up their goal of world dominance. Overall, Kissinger believes that well-crafted agreements can serve the interests of all parties involved. His realistic approach to negotiation aims for positions that serve everyone's interest, without being confrontational or overly accommodating. While negotiation is not always a panacea for conflict, Kissinger believes that agreements achieved through his strategic approach can produce a realistic accommodation of conflicting interests. Kissinger on successful negotiations. In his book, Kissinger stresses the importance of finding a positive or stable deal and the balance of incentives when negotiating. He emphasizes that without an agreement, negotiations are pointless, and the consequences of no deal must be clear to all parties involved. Kissinger suggests that to achieve success in negotiations, the underlying assumptions must be accurate, and changing the structure of the game may be necessary. This could involve removing some parties or introducing new ones, shifting the discussion topics, or making the possibility of no agreement more detrimental to the other party. However, negotiation and consequences must go hand in hand when trying to change the game. Kissinger's insights show that negotiation success relies on finding common interests and balancing incentives to achieve realistic goals. The art of negotiation. Negotiating is not an academic exercise but dealing with real rewards and penalties. Kissinger's approach to successful negotiations involves employing a wide-angle lens to assess the full set of potentially relevant parties. In the U.S. North Vietnam negotiations, Kissinger involved other parties including China and the Soviet Union, who were both interested in better relationships with the U.S. This tactic shifted the dynamic and pressured North Vietnam to take the talks seriously. Although the Paris Peace Accords eventually ended the Vietnam War, the agreement failed due to poor public opinion and the Watergate scandal. Kissinger's approach to negotiation. Kissinger's negotiation strategy is rooted in the understanding that a negotiator must have their end goal in mind, amidst conflicting interests. Regarding Israel and Jordan's negotiation, Kissinger saw that the lack of an agreement held more value than an agreement would have. While some critique Kissinger for not supporting the Palestinians, he emphasizes that a proper negotiation must begin with foundational assumptions. Strategies and tactics are secondary. A negotiator must understand the core issues at play to achieve their target agreement. 3 core lessons in negotiation. Kissinger suggests a broad strategic approach to negotiation, emphasizing the importance of understanding both points of view, avoiding assumptions, and possessing deep knowledge. Kissinger also advises negotiators to be opportunistic in their actions.
In conclusion, the book summary of Kissinger the Negotiator reveals the key takeaways from Kissinger's vast negotiation experience, making them accessible and relevant to a broader audience. His unparalleled approach to negotiations highlights essential strategies such as keeping a wide perspective, empathizing with counterparts, embracing flexible plans, and ensuring deep understanding of core issues. Furthermore, it emphasizes the importance of evaluating basic assumptions while being adaptive to changing circumstances. By imbibing his teachings, you can enhance your negotiation prowess, both in diplomacy and other aspects of life. The valuable lessons derived from this exceptional negotiator serve as a guide to achieving successful deals and outcomes in an interwoven global landscape.